Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Veil background information. We're just doing a culture video and we're talking about veil scandals. So it's just going to be a very brief quote and then I'm just going to explain what I'm going to do because initially this was supposed to be part of my talking about veil television section and I decided to do something else with it. So let's just get into it. As always, these culture things is just relating to the universe of my veil entities and my characters and my stories. It's the sort of background stuff, which what my background information thing is all about, that just sort of helps you understand some of these things and helps me with my world building. So it's just sort of I do it because it's actually very good for me to have in the background so that I can like when two people are talking can refer to something that has some cultural context. So let's get into it. He had it coming. I went on one job interview with that guy, and he insisted if I was going to work as the showgirl beside the wheel, I was going to have to show him what I looked like female. I told him to pay for a ticket to my show and then to sit on. You don't need to know more than that. Quote from Reciprocity, and a quote from Fix. Like absolutely everywhere, every kind of job, and sadly, just everything. It's sad to say, but the truth is there are scandals everywhere. Now, where some scream it never used to be like that, or it was the times back then, the sad truth of the fact is that just as outside of the veil, within the veil, it's only been the fact that people have been able to have a platform with social media to scream that, and it's almost literally to scream that the information cannot be tidied up by PR people as easily. And well, this is going to be a big section I'm going to go into as it's part of the veil culture, but also tends to be the thing that changes and alters the lives of the figures within the veil. So, though initially this was part of the Veil television section, it's going to be its own thing and it's going to be split up into the sections below. Now, for this video, I'm just going to give you the overview of what's going to be discussed in future videos, and one of the things that's important for you to know is, as someone listening in, these scandals are all things based on our reality and the kind of scandals we've had over the years. This is because the impact of these things in our culture I translate for impacting the way things happen in them. Although some of the things are different and we don't thankfully have incidents of co-presenters eating one another, though that might be rather interesting. But these things do exist and get brought up and mentioned in different stories as their background conversations and water cooler talk, just like the television shows and everything else. So none of what I'm going to talk about is real, but you should know that when I'm talking about my fictional universe, and you should know that when I'm talking about my fictional universe, it is about a fictional universe, but I thought to make that abundantly clear right now. So, what are the categories of scandals we're going to talk about? Well, I've broken them down. Originally, it was by industry, but instead, it's going to be separated by what the actual scandal is about. Also, due to different time periods and different wars in the veil, there are separate scandals for older things like two people dating that at the time was not welcome to illegitimate children. So be aware that some of these may just be scandal at the time that's still brought up every so often. So we're going to talk about secret relationships, which for some beings it's about not being outed. For others, it's because it would not suit to advertise the two going out. In certain times, certain species don't go together, and of course, vampires going out with non-vampires was taboo for a long time. Okay, then we've got secret and multiple marriages. For some people, the times meant they could not be advertised if they were married. For others, it's because their partner is not deemed suitable in the press for them, and some it's because they're hiding their status to be paired to others. Unplanned children. For some, the timing is just not right. As always, how can you sell for certain charms if they're at risk of being altered by children? Let alone the majority of children by non-married vampires from an old time come through this. Workplace bullying and stealing. Some people have their ideas stolen, and some with more by some with more power and have struggled to get noted. Some people steal and force NDAs or use legal loopholes to trademark all things created by employees, and some are known for the toxic work environments they cause for the sake of production speed and money. Species and race-based aggressions. In the veil, along with racial bias, there is species bias too. with certain beings being picked on no matter what for what they are, and sometimes it's beings that propagate such things in order to sell their own ideas too, but get called out on it. Frauds and money scandals. There's embezzlement, pension fund raiding, and well, a lot of sneaky things done in business that of course have caused problems for many as the results of one being's greed, not to mention MLMs run by non-reformer demons. Power play. Unlike workplace bullying, this is related specifically to how less powerful people have experienced work, whether it's sexism to harassment. There have been some nasty things in people pressured by those higher up, with secretaries and personal assistants often bearing the brunt of this. Illegal item related. There's always something someone's not supposed to be seen with, whether it's certain substances, alcohol problems, or in the veil, spells, magic potions, or even certain meat they're not supposed to be around. The casting couch. Like every other notorious stories of the infamous abuse and harassment of hopeful actors is present in the veil too. Predatory behaviours and actions. Just like the casting couch and power play, some beings in positions of a high place go further and put others under real pressure for satisfaction that is not consensual, can be terrifying and criminal. War-related crimes. There are some wars that happen within the veil and some situations wherein the major events are abused by some, and though it's not always thought of in the same position as scandals, some of the things that have happened within it are scandals, with those deemed heroes having dark sides to them. Night predator-related attacks and deaths. So, night predators have issues and have needs, and sometimes in the veil they can't always or won't always control their demonic side. Death suspicious and certainly not accidental. There's been dodgy deaths in situations where people don't know where someone has gone, but have had suspicions. And the worst of the worst, within the veil there are certain celebrities whose scandals have ruined not only their legacy, but destroyed certain industries and certain names, and these have their own specific section. So it's going to be an unpleasant category to discuss, but within each section will be two examples to explain what happens, as well as some overview on how these things are treated in the veil, as well as where veil law stands in it. Some will have more than two examples where relevant, but there will be two little case studies in each to explain them all. The last category will be an overview of some of these beings and what they've done, but no, I'll try to use words that YouTube does not freak out about, and I won't find too uncomfortable discussing either, so look out for that when we start this next month. But thank you for listening thus far.